The HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast is fueled by Eukanuba. If you want to get the most of your dog in your training sessions, you need nutrition that holds nothing back. Eukanuba's new premium performance lineup is built with the nutrients dogs need to help unleash their max potential. That starts with providing energy that matches their efforts, supporting optimal nutrient delivery, and supporting post-exercise recovery. Check out the new Eukanuba Premium Performance lineup and find your dog's fuel at eukanubasportingdogs.com. You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. The HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast is powered by Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy. CGA is the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource. They've got over 160 instructional videos that includes everything you need to take your 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com to sign up for the free preview module and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the most advanced gun dog training resource on the web. Sound Gear is offering a 35% discount to the HP Outdoors listeners for their instant fit industrial and shooter products. You can head over to soundgearhearing.com and use the promo code HPO35 to claim your discount today. Lifetime Decoy's new Flex Float Mallard decoys set the new standard for quality and durability in waterfowl decoys. An EVA foam, open bottom construction combined with patent-pended dual flow swim keel system allows for more movement and less wind, the ability to sit flat on ice and dirt, and virtually indestructible design which can be shot or otherwise punctured and still float. Each decoy weighs only 11 ounces with the self-righting keel weights removed or 19 ounces with the weights installed. Check them out today at lifetimedecoys.com. All right, we've made it all the way to lesson 10 in module 4 of the Foundations of Waterfowl Hunting course brought to you by HP Outdoors. This lesson we're talking about calling geese. Last lesson we spoke about calling ducks. Now we're shifting over to geese. And this is something that we probably know a little better, Dan, as we hunt geese primarily sort of in our area. But I'll start off by saying something that Sean Stahl said to us several years ago on this podcast. And I say it all the time because I just think it's so accurate. But a goose call specifically is just a tool to get birds to do what you want them to do. So you need to know what you're trying to get them to do to effectively use the tool, right? And that depends on a lot of different things. If you're hunting the X, you might be just trying to get them to square up in your kill hole. If you're hunting traffic, you might be communicating to them that you're on the new hot feed and you're being very protective of your feed. And if they want to come get some, then they're going to have to fight you for it, kind of deal. So it just really depends on the message that you're trying to convey based on your hunting scenario. But the thing is that the call is a tool to get the birds to do what you want them to do based on the given scenario that you're in at that time.
Yeah. And, we say it all the time too, like you always do the stairway to heaven as far as, the competition routine. Like, it's good to know all the notes, but basic sounds will kill birds. The honks, the clucks, the moans. Those three, maybe a double cluck here and there if you want to get fancy. But, keeping it simple, especially if you're hunting early season and just communicating, usually it's one lead goose that you're talking back and forth with that you can lead right into the kill hole and the rest follow. So you don't have to be an expert to kill geese with just these few sounds.
Yeah, the reference that you made there for my little saying that I like to bring up, and I think I actually said this in the second episode we ever did with Kelly Powers. There's two types of, to use a guitar analogy. If you can play Stairway to Heaven, you're probably a pretty dang good guitar player. But if you can play Smoke on the Water, you're still playing the guitar. So both of those people can play the guitar. One plays a heck of a lot better, but they both play. Same with goose calls. You may not win a competition on the stage, but if you can play the basic notes, you'll kill geese. You're both blowing the call, right? So don't feel that you need to be some sort of professional or whatever to be effective, because that's just not the case. If you find yourself in a situation where you have multiple people in the blind calling, in my experience, I think it's most productive to focus on different notes in different ranges to give the perception of multiple geese. Say one hunter is going to work the higher notes, another will work the lower notes, and then you work in tandem together to sound like multiple geese on the ground. That's how you exponentially make yourself sound bigger and get more sound in the air that doesn't just sound like a bunch of sort of chaos going on. Maybe there are times when you would want to do that if there's high winds or what have you, but like in general, I think it's more realistic to work in tandem and work off of each other. There's a really good YouTube video out there that Tim Grounds does with him and Hunter in the blind, talking about how they work in tandem doing exactly this. So you can find that on YouTube if that's something that you're looking to find more information on.
Yeah, and that's something, easy. It's easy to practice if you know who you're hunting with. Pull a goose call out, the night before or the day before, and kind of work on that, just so you're not hitting the same notes at the same time. And that goes for, I know we're calling geese right now, but that goes for duck calling too. Like as one guy's kind of slowing down, the other guy can pick up, and it, like you said, it makes you sound bigger. It makes you sound like there's more going on. So, and just like the decoy spread, if you are on the X, you might not need as many decoys. Well, the same thing goes with calling. If you're where they want to be, you probably don't need to call as much. And that's just the way it is. They know where they want to be. They're coming, just a few notes here and there, and just to confirm that those birds are alive or what you're portraying to be alive, and just roll with it. If you need to change it later in the hunt on the second flight, whatever, go ahead and do that. But if I was hunting the X, I'm not getting real loud first round.
Yeah. And, I'll just end on the fact that the call can be used for a lot of different purposes and in a lot of different ways. And the best resource that I have found that describes this is Bad Grammar by Scott Trinan. It's the resource that I used when I was learning to call. So not only do you learn how to make the sounds, but he also spends a lot of time in talking about what the sounds mean and what they're intended to do. And I'll never forget this, because, when we started hunting, it was like, okay, the birds are committed. They're coming into the hole, shut up, don't make any noise, just let them come. And when I'm talking with him, he described how, basically the time to be quiet is not when the birds are finishing in the hole, because the birds on the ground are communicating to those birds that are about to finish, like, hey, this is my feed. Like, you're encroaching on my territory. Like, you're not welcome here, kind of deal. And we did this in a hunt where we had birds finishing outside the edge of our spread, and they had their feet out ready to land. And we just hammered the call, and they just lifted up and glided like another 10, 12 yards towards the blind, right into the kill hole. And we just hammered that group. And that would not have happened had we just sat there and been quiet like we would have done historically. So we learned a great deal from that. And, that's now something that I always have in my toolkit when I'm in the field watching birds work. So I learned that from Bad Grammar. And I definitely think it's a great resource for anyone out there who's looking to learn not only about goose calling, but about goose vernacular and how they communicate and what sounds mean what. It's a great resource for that. So fully endorse that program for those out there interested.
Yeah, doing your homework like that, and then you implement those strategies out in the field, and you're like, holy crap, that just worked like it was supposed to. There's no better feeling than when it comes together like that. Because I think, I think we killed 12 birds out of that group you're talking about, and they slid right up. And that's the difference between, crushing a group and saying, well, do we want to take a pop shot at one, or, what do you want to do? Do we scare them off so the next group doesn't land way out there with them? Like, that's the difference between those two scenarios. And
or knocking a cripple down and having to chase it or send a dog after it. I mean, those ones were stone dead, right?
And I love this foundations course, because this is we're dropping knowledge bombs that are going to help you right out of the gate that took us many failures to learn. So
100%.
take that one and run with it, if nothing else.
So in closing, I will say that the calling geese, there's a lot to unpack, and there's a lot to learn and a lot to get into. So don't be overwhelmed by that. Keep it basic to begin with, and you'll be able to have success early on. And then as you have opportunities to learn, you'll only grow from there. So that's going to do it for calling geese. Next, lesson number 11, we're going to go over real quick on how to appropriately call the shot. That's going to do it for this episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. If you're new to the show, head over to iTunes, check out some of our past episodes, and while you're there, leave us a 5-star rating and review. It's the best way for like-minded hunters just like you to find our show. Check us out on social media, check us out over at hpoutdoors.com, and anywhere you can find quality podcast content. That's going to do it for this week. Till next time, for Dan, I'm Josh. Take care.